Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here with my review of the Power Rangers Mixx and Force. It's going to be the new series next year, guys. It's not going to be Dino Supercharge, it's Mixx and Force. No, it's the Mixx and Morph. There we go. I don't know why it's so hard to say. Single packs, wave 1. So, for whatever reason, I did it in kind of weird order. I already reviewed the double packs, which come with a Ranger and a Zord, a Megazord type figure that kind of mix and match to make essentially what most of these are here, but the single packs are a bit different. On the first wave, you just get a Red Ranger by himself, and then you get a white version of the Claw Zord here, which is essentially like the combined mode you get from the dual pack, except you don't get extra Ranger pieces, and it is done in a sort of repainted fashion reminiscent of the Octozord. I'm pretty sure that's what they're going for, but regardless, it does remind me of that. And then you have a black version of the Dino Charge Megazord, which is kind of reminiscent of the one from the Kyryuujin movie. I have no idea. I think you only saw like one of the dinosaurs like that. I don't even remember if we got the full Megazord or not. But regardless, I have no idea if we're using that or releasing a deluxe toy of that in any form. And then you have like a black and green edition of the White Tigerzord, which I guess it's kind of labeled as green, but it's got black all over it. I don't know. They're probably trying to go for Green Ranger alternate colors. I don't know what they're going for, but they're really neat little alternate colors. Take a very quick look at the box. Nothing too special. On the front here, it just advertises, you know, what the point of the line is, which is to make these crazy combinations. I'm not going to be making all kinds of combinations. Excuse me. In the review, so just so you know, that's essentially what you do. It'll just have the name of it. This is the Claw Zords, obviously. There's the Mixx and Morph logo. There's just a generic Power Rangers logo up here. There's no like Dino Charge up there. Essentially advertises the system. On the back, another neat little shot showing you what you can do with it, advertising the other pieces where you can get these and just a general mix, and then it advertises the rest of the line, or not all the rest of it, but at least a good chunk of it. But so yeah, that's about it. So we might do a cutaway for transforming some of these. We're not going to do it for the first one though. We're going to start off with the very first one without doing a cutaway because he's so easy, which is the Red Ranger figure, because if you just buy this guy by himself, you can't do much with him. You can swap his legs for his arms and his arms for his legs. You can take his head off and put it on his shoulder. You can put this anywhere there's some sort of joint. But you don't have any transformation possibilities, which makes him the most boring of the bunch. As I said in my dual pack reviews, or at least I believe I said, this guy was the least favorite of the individual Ranger molds for me personally. There's just something oddly proportioned about him. I mean, obviously these guys aren't the most pristine example of, you know, like a regular figure, but at least the other two looked kind of neat. This one just kind of looks boring and basic. As I mentioned in the dual pack reviews, the paint on these aren't terrible. They get the job done just fine. I mean, there could certainly be worse. They're better than the bike figures. And the articulation, because of the little ball joints everywhere, actually is pretty solid, and you get a great range of motion here on these, which is actually really nice. You can actually get some pretty decent little poses out of them. So there's some good articulation there, actually. But yeah, like I said, if you haven't seen the other review, these are just sort of odd little figures. I mean, you're going to have these little ball things everywhere because that's what the figure is supposed to be. You can do stuff like, boom, you can pull his arm completely off. You can put that on the side there and then get his arm to actually go on. Which, that's kind of neat. We'll even leave it like that for now. But if you just get this guy, which if you're going to go into this line at all, I do not recommend just picking up one, especially if it's this guy. Picking up just the Red Ranger Mixx and Morph single pack, and that's it for the Mixx and Morph line, you might as well pack it up and go home. Yeah, so he's probably my least favorite just because there's very little you can do with him on his own, and I find him to be one of the more boring ones regardless. Alright, now we will go ahead and do individual spotlights. I guess we'll start with the White Rangers. We'll go chronological. Alright, boom. I don't know if that was confusing or not when I said White Rangers and then I pulled in the black and green guy, because there is actually a white mecha, but this would belong to the White Rangers. But anyway, this is identical in mold to the one you get in the dual pack. I mean, at least the combined mode is. You don't get a White Ranger with this. But it is a black and green color. Like I said, I assume they were going for an alternate hey, what if Green Ranger and White Ranger swap colors? I'm not sure. Regardless, I think it came out looking kind of neat. The single packs were really my favorite reason, well, the exception of the Red Ranger, was my favorite reason for actually getting into this line for me. The whole mix and morph concept was actually secondary to the fact that I really dig neat repaints. I mean, repaints are things that are way overdone in toy lines for sure. Power Rangers and many more. But every now and then, you'll run into a really neat repaint that I like. Excuse me. I know there were some really neat ones in Ben 10 I liked, various aliens, and sometimes I like that, and especially since they're a little more stylized, regardless of the mix and more feature, I just like having these sort of neat little items in my collection. And I think for the most part, this color scheme is pretty cool. Sorry, I'm having a hard time talking today. What else is new? I think it would have been even cooler if they just went straight up black and gold, or black and yellow as it were, because I really love those color schemes on Megazords, so I think that would have been neat. But the green isn't so bad. I would have preferred black and yellow / gold, whatever, but this is okay. Okay, so for its transformation, you can really just make the Tiger mode, which, as I think I mentioned in my dual pack review, is probably the most involved. I mean, it's not like it's overly complicated, but you're essentially just going to do a lot of disassembling. But yeah, it's just got some of the more complicated little movements. God, these can be so annoying. Seriously, there we go. It's like I mentioned, I think I mentioned in my dual part review, sometimes the joints on these can be really tight to the point where it's really obnoxious to get them apart. Like right now, you're witnessing it. And then sometimes, like you saw with the Red Ranger one, it'll just yank right off. Okay, so, damn man, this dude here, he's giving me trouble. Okay, so you're just gonna essentially take all of the Ranger pieces here, not this, with the Ranger pieces, and you're going to set them aside. You're not going to need them. For the Tiger here, it's very simple. Just turn these around, and you're getting ready for Tiger mode. You got his little front feet. Feet is a technical term. Alright, for these, like, I had to make sure I remember to do this right. You twist it around, and then, like, there's a certain way you have to do it, and I want to make sure I get it right. So that I think this is right, because, like, sometimes I got the legs facing the wrong way, which is super annoying. Like I said, this is the slightly more involved one. I'm just gonna make sure that these, whoops, see, there we go, I got it wrong. There we go, I think that's good. If I got the legs backwards, I apologize, I don't think I did. But anyway, the only thing you're gonna have to do, something I forgot to show off, is he comes with, which is essentially a sword, you can hold it, but it's the tail piece. And you could have him hold it like I just said. Now let me make sure I got this right up in here. So you just pull this little thing out, and you're going to snap the sword onto it. There we go. And then right here, whoops, these snap together like so. There you go. And then right here on the back, there's like a little slot, you'll see it. Place it in there, and then you really awkwardly place the helmet in this very awkward position. But then there you get the Tiger Zord's back, because the camera's not panned down far enough. But you get the Tiger Zord in its regular mode, and in this mode, it essentially is kind of like a black and gold / yellow version, with the exception of the green helmet back here, which looks really cool, I think. Obviously, this isn't the most accurate version of the Tiger Zord in terms of sculpt, but it's still pretty neat just to get like a what if, and it makes me really wish that the whole thing had been this color scheme instead of trying to incorporate the green, but whatever. It's pretty neat. I dig it. Alright, yeah, so now I guess we'll move on to what's chronologically next, Samurai. Let's go there. Alright, so now here we have the Claw Zord. As I said before, with White Tigerzord, it's identical to the one you get with the 2-packs. I mean, he's not identical to the Tiger Zord, he's identical to the Claw Zord version, the combined mode. Except he's done in this kind of neat color scheme, which is pretty much just like the Octo Zord, which is kind of neat. I really dig this one. I'm a sucker for the black edition of the Dino Charge Megazord, but this one might be my favorite, just because I think it looks really neat. If I recall, this was like the first one to catch my eye when we saw these at like toy shows and stuff. The only thing I'm not a fan of, really, in the terms of this mold, is the way these legs are. I'm just not a fan of using the tail to become the legs. in this fashion. I know it's sort of like that. Yeah, it's sort of like that in the transformation in the show, but just the way it's done here. But still, I really dig this color scheme a lot. I think it's a really neat looking little thing. As I mentioned when I was talking about Tiger Zord, I just really like having this neat little repaint sort of stylized piece of display in my collection. But so yeah, very cool. Just like with the Tiger Zord, I think I forgot to show it, but kind of like with Red, they all do have a nice articulation, which is really neat. So you can get a pretty wide range of motion. It's not like the most amazing ever, but still you can get some pretty neat looking little poses out of them, which is really nice. Alright, to transform him, yet again, it's pretty much like the other one where you're just going to be disassembling them and weed out the Ranger parts. Like right here, this is a Ranger part, or it would be. Why didn't they just give us a purpley gold Ranger figure? Wouldn't that have been cool? I think that would have been cool. Let's see, I'm gathering all the pieces together. Mix and morphs, assemble. That was just lame. Okay, come on, there we go. So those pieces over there just all go away. Okay, so we'll twist this around, sort of fan these out so they look like legs. Where are you? Here we are. These little pieces here are obviously going to become the head. It's pretty dang obvious if you didn't know. I mean, I suppose if you're watching this, you're somewhat familiar with Samurai or Shinkenger, so you know what's about to happen here. Just gotta line these up right. There's a little peg here, little hole here. Pegs and holes are like the birds and bees of Power Rangers toys and Sentai toys. That's really weird, a weird thing to say, but it is. And then put the little claws on here. Across. I have them upside down, I don't know. That's close enough though, for real. Okay, now this is gonna be one of those things where, well, I actually got it right on the first try. There we go. So these like sort of slide onto each other, which I mentioned in the dual pack review is kind of annoying to get them to stay on. Is it this way? Yes. Or get them to stay snapped together. And I feel like it never showed that. Boom, it showed it. And then it was off camera. Damn it, me. I'm the worst. But I don't think it showed properly in the other review just how much frustrations I have trying to get these to stay, which can be kind of annoying. But you're supposed to put them there and then snap this on here, but unfortunately, the pieces don't want to stay together. Come on, do it. There we go, that's close enough. Damn it. It was close enough, pop, and they're like, nope, just Chuck Testa. Normally you would push it down a little bit more, but I don't want to risk it popping out. But there you go, you essentially have a little Octozord colored Claw Zord, which also is very neat. This is far from the coolest looking Claw Zord mold we got in terms of little ones we had, like the small Zord and stuff, but still, like with the Megazord mode, I think this is just a really neat little repaint to have, and I really dig it, and the transformation's pretty simple to pull off, except for this part. This is like my only real complaint. The Tiger Zord's transformation is a smidge more involved, but this one is the one I have the most troubles with, just with this tail, but still a neat little repaint. Alright, so now let's move on to the last one, which is the Black Dino Charge Megazord. Okay, so here we have the Dino Charge Megazord. Like I said, I guess it's sort of, I mean, from my perspective at least, it's loosely based off of the black goldish edition. Was it gold? Whatever, the black edition of the Kyoryugen we got, which is pretty neat. And his arms are kind of opposite, so you have I have the head over here and the tail over here, whereas I think it's opposite before. But it's still pretty neat. There's a lot of sort of white, like it's a whitish gray. It's an eggshell white. No, it's not. That's probably wrong. But between the Ranger parts. But the rest of it's sort of this, it's almost like a dark gray. It's not like full-on black. But still, it's pretty neat. I think the color scheme is pretty cool. It would have been nice if they had leaned more towards the full-on black plastic because, you know, they have it, but maybe they thought that was too close to the White Rangers, which was the black and green. Articulation, other than it being a slightly different mold, all remains the same. You get that same range of motion on it, which is nice. But still, pretty neat looking. I really dig the Dino Charge mold they have here. I think it's nicely stylized. They did a good job on the helmet here. Yeah, I really dig the recolors on these. And then you can make a little mini Rexy or a black Rexy. He's, I don't know what his name would be. His name's just Black Rexy. That sounds really racist, but that's his name. But so once again, this becomes a game of filter out the Ranger parts. That sounds really gross when I say it like that. Damn, man. There we go. Come on. This whole, like, maybe 15% of this review is me pulling on joints saying, come on. I'm making weird grunty noises. Okay, now his little foot came off, but that shows you just how many little parts you get, which is nice. So get out of here, Ranger parts. We don't need you. We'll make some sort of weird limb monster out of you someday. I don't know what we're going to do with you. Okay, so now you have the core body of him here. Right here on the back are his little arms. And I think, can one of them stay here? Yes, they can. I believe they can. If I got that wrong, then I'll just correct myself in like 3 seconds. But I think one of them can just stay here. And then his legs go back here. Boom. Boom, other leg. Whoa, look at that. Backwards leg. There we go. I don't know why that was cool to show. And then this little piece goes on right here. There's actually, I wish there was a ball joint thingy here. I mean, it would be pretty well hidden, but what you get is essentially this little slit. That sounds, I don't know why that sounds really dirty. But right here for this little version. And the thing is, this guy has a peg hole there. God, that sounds, everything just sounds wrong. But the point is, I wish they just used the system there, because it stays on better. This does not to stay on as well. But there you go, you get a little black and silvery, not silvery, it's more like a black and really gray, like a dark gray and light gray edition. That sounds so boring. But T-Rex Zord here, which is really neat. If you watched this review, I'm just constantly referencing the review of the dual packs, but I mentioned that this is easily my favorite of the 3 individual modes, for sure, and I really dig it, and I like that they have the color scheme on this. The same probably goes for these in terms of the individual packs. He's probably my favorite little individual monster mode with the recolor, monster mode, Zord mode, whereas the Claw Zord is probably my favorite Megazord mode. But yeah, it's just a really neat little thing to have. Not a lot of people like these type of things, but yeah, it's just a neat little thing. Alright, now let's go ahead and move on to the final verdict. Alright, so here we have the whole crew assembled. So, in my 2-part review, I said I can recommend these for kids that would really like this, because I think the whole line is something fun for kids, and I can recommend it for even adult collectors that like these types of things for displays. And the same holds true here, but for the single packs in particular, I have like a separate recommendation, meaning if you're like me and you like neat little repaints of stuff, I can recommend these. I mean, they do look a little bit more lower quality, I guess, in terms of maybe looking a little bit slightly like a Happy Meal toy. I hate to use that terminology, but I can't think of a better way to describe it. And like I said, you do have these knobs everywhere, and it does look slightly lesser, but overall I still think they're neat. They have a slightly stylized look, and I really dig the repaint for all 3 of these. So if you're a person like me that really digs sort of unique pieces like that, for these 3 I can most definitely recommend it. I just think they're really neat things I'm happy to have, and like I said before, for kids, for people that like the Mixx and Morph features, I think it's really cool. But for, you know, regular maybe completion collectors that just want stuff from the show, I'd say it's an easy pass. I think this is it's a fun line and has some neat little design ideas, but it's not for everybody. I feel bad I've just completely ignored him, but honestly, out of everything, single, double packs, I recommend him the least. If you really want a Red Ranger figure for this line, I would just go ahead and only pick up the 2-pack. It's a little more expensive, but you can do more with it, and he is a clear version of this. If the solid version is super important to you, whatever floats your boat, but I would recommend just getting the 2-pack, because with everything, every single 2-pack and every single pack except him, there's something to do other than attach the gun to his shoulder and make a weird mutant. But I guess that's what the whole line's about. But anyway, I feel like I've talked enough. Until next time, make sure you check out the crazy podcast at writersrangersrambles.com. And of course, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, it's Dawson Ryder, signing out.